It's my pleasure to introduce a man who's guided this industry with thought leadership for the past 30 years, the founder, CEO of ARC Advisor Group, Andy Chatha.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Welcome to ARC's 21st Industry Forum. It's great to have you here. We have really heard two great presentations on two very, very important topics for our industry: cybersecurity and open automation. These are really the building blocks. We have to actually use them to go digital. And let me ask you about how many of you have attended 10 or more of these forums? Yeah, I know there are lots of you here have attended. I think some of you are probably shy. You haven't raised your hand. You know, this is really our industry forum. And it's not just actually North America. We have actually almost probably 50 executives from Europe. And you already heard from Don Namur organization. In fact, those of you who don't know Namur organization, you know, most, actually really all chemical, pharmaceutical, oil and gas companies in Europe are member of those organizations. And in fact, I would give a lot of credit to Namur organization. You know, they have in Europe, they have a much better process. Actually, all the end users are already member of that organization. And I think here also, as Don mentioned, we got to work together. So I think it's a very, very important time for our industry. You know, there is so much change going on and so forth. So in a few minutes, I want to talk about a little bit. You know, I know we already heard a lot of people are wondering about, you know, what is going digital is all about. You know, how do we do that? You know, a few months ago, we conducted a survey, and we asked executives, you know, how important is it for you to go digital or go through digital transformation or to become a digital enterprise for your organization? The answer really overwhelmingly was unanimous. All executives do see that they have to go digital. You know, many executives, they feel it's absolutely important for their organization to go through digital transformation to survive. And we also asked these executives, you know, why do you want to go digital, and what are the benefits that you will achieve? You know, clearly companies for decades been trying to become more agile. I think right now going digital can make companies much more agile. Most companies want to improve their customer experience. They want to actually provide them better products. We can actually see, you know, cell phones and all other technologies, how flexible they are. So companies want to make their operations more flexible. You know, clearly, for some companies, they are looking for new revenue streams. There's other companies, they are trying to maintain their revenues. You know, they have to actually do this, survive. And certainly, all companies are trying to make their products smarter. They are trying to add more intelligence to their products so that, in fact, they can actually give better experience to their customers and so forth. Now, we have been talking about the benefits of going digital. And in fact, actually, for industrial companies, there are a lot of benefits. Clearly, the low-hanging fruit is for companies to start making their products smarter. You know, we see that that's what automotive companies are doing. In fact, actually, obviously, all the automotive companies, you know, right now, they are trying to make their products more and more autonomous. And in fact, actually, you know, automotive companies, the major automotive companies, they have to do that. It is important for the survival. Some of them may not survive because they have new challenges. And in fact, actually, I'm very pleased to say that we have one of those new automotive company here with us called Local Motors. You will hear from David Westman of Local Motors tomorrow morning how they are trying to change the automotive industry. And certainly once you make their products smarter, just like our cell phones, then you have an opportunity to start selling ongoing services to your customers. You can give actually better user experience to your customers. And also it gives you more actually new revenue streams and so forth. Now, you also have opportunities what you can do in your plants. Some of you have certainly been trying to automate your asset management, asset performance management. And some of you are starting to use predictive maintenance and so forth, to reduce the downtime. But that's where you, in fact, got to invest to start making your plants more agile so that you can meet customer needs and so forth. So there is a lot of opportunity in the plants as well. Whereas adding more smarts to your products, in fact, companies are trying to increase their revenues. Whereas making investments in your plants is sort of, you are lowering your costs, you are improving your margins, you are improving your profitability, and so forth. Now, what is going digital for a company? It's going to depend, what your business model is, what your industry is. It's going to be different. And I have sort of listed some of the kind of things actually you can do for different industries. And certainly there are going to be some common things. For example, clearly cybersecurity. You got to make sure your plants, your operations are safe and secure. And certainly, I think Don talked about open automation. And in fact, I want to say that we not only need open automation, we need open systems all the way to the top, because it's going to be so critical for all your applications, all your systems to work together. And we'll talk more about that. You certainly have a lot of technologies in your plants. Lots of applications, lots of software that you have been purchasing for many, many years. And going forward, you're going to be actually bringing some new technologies to your plants. And some of you already been using predictive analytics, but this analytics is becoming bigger and bigger and more complex arena. And you not only have predictive analytics now, you have streaming analytics, you have obviously cognitive computing, visual analytics. Obviously, we have augmented reality. We did a lot of research over the last couple of years about the analytics business, and we are finding that literally there are hundreds of companies right now in the analytics business. And in addition to, you could buy an analytics application, or you could buy an analytics platform. You could put analytics maybe, obviously in the cloud, or you can put analytics on-premise. Or now the latest is you can start embedding some of the analytics in your devices. So there's a lot happening in this arena. I want to talk a little bit about, applications and platforms. In fact, obviously most of you have been buying applications in the past, but obviously what the cell phone model, business model is, you have your cell phone, you can download apps at any time, like Don mentioned. And so you have platforms. So right now, in fact, there's a shift taking place. The companies who have platforms, for example, Microsoft Azure or AWS, or maybe, we have lots of other companies have platforms. They are starting to add apps on top of that. Now, on the other hand, application companies, have MES applications or asset management applications. Those companies are starting to make their applications sort of platforms. So right now, obviously, there's a big movement, shift taking place in the software business going forward. Now, many of you are familiar with the ARC's, what we call collaborative manufacturing model. And in your plants, you already have lots of software. And you can think of automation system, it's a platform. You have MES platform to manage your supply chain, you have supply chain platform. To manage your customers, you have a CRM platform. And certainly, at the business level, you have ERP platform. On the design side, to manage all of your product design and process design, you have a PLM platform. And to manage all of your asset management, you have asset management platform. So you already have lots of applications and platforms at your companies and at your plants. Now going forward, you will be in fact bringing even more platforms to your organizations. Clearly, mobile device platform, or you could say embedded systems platform, as you start embedding analytics and other intelligence into your products. So as you can see, you're going to have lots of layers of stacks. So what's the most important point I want to make here is once you have all of these platforms or software, how are these platforms going to work together? So when you are trying to select any kind of software right now for your plants or for your organizations, I think the most important decision you are going to make is make sure these platforms are interoperable. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. Same thing what Don mentioned. You don't want 20-year life cycle from your applications or from your automation systems. There are so many new technologies that are going to be coming down the pike that are cybersecurity. There's a new viruses, a new cybersecurity activity going on every day. So you got to make sure that the platforms you are bringing into your plants and to your organizations are going to work together. Now, we have been talking a lot over the past few years, IT-OT integration. And I think many of you are starting to work with your IT organizations. Your process engineers have to work with the software developers and so on. And if you see this year, I think another very important integration for you is what we call ET, or engineering technologies as well. Because when you're starting to add more intelligence to your products or to your devices in the plant, you got to work with your process engineers or your product engineers to figure out what new sensors you can add to those products. For example, your maintenance folks, they know why this pump or why this compressor really fails. What sort of new information they need to make sure to better understand why this device really fails. So they need to work with your design engineers to determine what sort of new sensors you need on this pump or compressor or whatever it is. So you need to work all the way, with your design engineers and your maintenance folks, asset management folks, reliability folks, so that you can actually do what they need to do to eliminate downtime in your plants. So it's going to be very, very important that all of you guys in the plants and IT folks start working with your engineering folks as well. Now, I want to talk a little bit about asset performance management and maturity model, because many of you are focused on trying to reduce downtime in your plants. And most of you, many companies, by the way, I wouldn't say most, many companies are still doing reactive or preventive maintenance in your plants. And certainly some of you are starting to do more condition-based or predictive asset management. And I think certainly even beyond predictive, what you really need to start doing is what we call prescriptive type of approach. That when, for example, you need to start looking at more than just your device, you need to look at your process. You need to actually start looking at the much more what the product works in, the whole ecosystem. Why you need to start finding the root cause of failure. Why is this failure happening so that it doesn't happen again? We did a survey a few months ago again, and we asked executives, companies, to tell us, what type of approach they are taking to their asset performance management. And as you can actually look at the results, majority of the folks are still doing reactive or preventive maintenance. And some of you are starting to do preventive, predictive type of maintenance and approach and so forth. But as I mentioned to you, I think you need to start moving to more predictive and prescriptive approach. And also many experts, reliability experts, have done many studies. And they have come to the conclusion that 82% of all asset failures happen random basis. So it doesn't matter whether you did the even preventive maintenance last week or last month, it's not going to stop a product failure in your plant. The only way you can actually eliminate failures is by moving to predictive and prescriptive type of approach. I have shown this slide at last two forums where we show that you have your control system in your plant, and you have all the enterprise applications at the corporate data center, or maybe some of you are moving to the cloud, or essentially on a somewhere remote location. And what you can start doing is you can start connecting your assets. More and more you are actually machines and the plants directly to the cloud. Why do you want to do that? Because it has a lot of benefits. The number one, for example, is actually it's a lower cost. And I think most of you are very well aware when you want to connect a device to the control system, you're talking about several $1,000s. And I know many of you with legacy sort of control systems, you don't even have capability to connect additional devices to your control systems. Or control systems are not designed to handle large amounts of data. So it makes a lot of sense for you, as you're adding more sensor monitoring sensors or maybe optimization type of sensors, you can connect them directly to your corporate data center or cloud, whatever you want to call. And that's where actually you can run more predictive or prescriptive type of analytics to find what the reasons are for the product failures and so forth. And now, if you want to go a step further, you can share some of the operational data that's coming from the plants with your suppliers. They can help you diagnose problems because suppliers know much better, the characteristics of their products. So they can, we encourage you to start working with your partners more and more. They can help you optimize the operation of your products and your plant. Now, Don mentioned Namur, open architecture. And again, I think we are very glad that we are going to have Christian Klettner from BASF. They are a member of Namur organization, and he's going to actually go into more detail about their open architecture. But in essence, actually, what you can see, they are suggesting an approach very similar to what I talked about. They're saying, yes, you have a control system, but you can connect a lot of your monitoring and optimization type of, you can bring that data to your corporate center, directly, because, it's much more cost effective. Control systems are not really designed to manage a lot of data. So we are really glad that Christian is here with us. And we have, by the way, many folks, from Europe here. So we encourage you folks to talk to them. Now, going digital or digital transformation or digital enterprise, whatever we want to call, is going to be a game changer. Certainly, by the way, it all starts with smart machines. We got to make our products, our processes smarter. We got to start adding more intelligence to the machines, to our devices. That's where it all starts. Now, certainly, next you can actually start optimizing your supply chain. There is a lot happening. Companies have been trying to optimize their supply chain for a long time with more and more intelligence. And obviously, we are seeing right now, you can get your packages, you can buy something from Amazon and get it delivered, within hours or next day or same day or whatever. So another very important aspect is that empower the workers. Plant operators, engineers, going forward as they're using some of these newer technologies, augmented realities or whatever. So making, the people aspect is also going to be very, very important to the digital enterprise. And certainly, we talked about, smart products, adding more and more intelligence to the products, And all of this is, by the way, it's really going to be a journey. It's going to take years. And for some companies, obviously, will take longer than others, but it's a process. But we have to start working, one thing at a time. And I would say that, we have a great program for 5 tracks. We have a whole track on asset management and whole track on analytics and cybersecurity. And I think most of these topics are well covered at this forum. So we encourage you folks to attend as many sessions as you can. Now, as I mentioned earlier, going digital or digital enterprise is going to be different for every company. Depends on your industry, depends on your business model, and so forth. But at least I have listed 5 key characteristics of a digital enterprise here. And certainly, companies have to become much more customer-centric. You have to start making more your customer experience. Improving customer experience is going to be very, very important. And actually, we can see it's happening, clearly. We have a lot of competition, as you can see with the companies, like Amazon's and Google's and obviously Tesla's, they're improving customer experience. So we also have to start improving our customer experience, and you can only do that by focusing on your customers. I think every company is going to probably look for ways. You need to start looking for new ways, new business models. You got to start changing. We can't survive without, change, without going digital. I think that's going to be very important that companies are looking to change as we are going forward. And increasingly leverage real-time information. We have to start becoming data-driven. And certainly, I think when you're talking about data, industrial companies have more data than anybody else. And I think we got to start leveraging that information, that intelligence that we already have. So, certainly embracing open and secure systems. As I mentioned earlier, it's not just open automation. We have to actually embrace open systems, the entire stack, all the way to enterprise systems, to analytics, and so forth. And the important thing is, I think there is a trend moving that way. Companies are starting to actually, as we are moving to platforms, certainly they are becoming more open because companies want other developers to start developing apps for their platforms. Certainly, collaboration. Every company, small or big companies, they have to start working with partners. And I think we just heard a great example. ExxonMobil is asking the industry to start working with them on this journey. And we not only have to collaborate internally within our companies, we have to work together as an industry. And in the end, I think while we are trying to do all of this, it's not going to be an easy thing. It's going to need a culture change. I think as companies, as people, as our societies, as I mentioned to you, it's not just North America. We also have to start working with Europe and Asia, as an industry to really move forward. Because our industry, everything what you see, our industry is very, very challenging. Because we deal with some of the most toughest problems. You're trying to make products, all kinds of products, and lots of products. We are also talking about, obviously, customizations. Customers are looking for products just to meet their own needs. It's not just going to be, make your product and they will come. That's not going to happen. So I think our industry has a lot of challenges. The only way we are going to actually, meet are working together. Now, I just listed a few things what you can do to adopt some of the things you can start doing to go digital, and so forth. Clearly, technologies. Right now, by the way, obviously, you can just look next door. Half the companies next door are new to our industry. So it's a great thing, by the way. Our industry, we need new thinking, new blood. We need lots of young people. Our industry is also, a lot of us, are going to be retiring soon. So we need new blood, new companies to help us in this transformation. So you need to certainly continuously assess, our companies. We can't have this 5-year or 10-year business plan anymore. I think we need to start reassessing where we are every year, an ongoing basis. Certainly then you want to prioritize. Like Don said, there are so many things to do because our organizations are complex, operations are complex. We have so much legacy stuff. How do you tackle? You can't tackle all of this. Same thing, like Marty said, cybersecurity. You got to prioritize. You got to assess your risks. And clearly, then you got to carefully see what's available, what technologies and platforms you want to bring to your plants and to your organizations. you certainly got to, while you're bringing new technologies, you're going to have to change your business processes, because the way we are running our businesses is going to change as we are trying to bring some of these new technologies to our plants and businesses. Clearly, you are going to need partners to work with, more so than even in the past, because there is so much new stuff coming, and it's going to be very, very difficult to try to actually keep up with all of that. So even selecting the right partners is going to be very, very important, and I think even Don mentioned that, they are trying to work with a lot of systems integrators and partners who can help them achieve their vision. And certainly the change, change is hard. No one likes change. But unfortunately, I think, this is also an opportunity in my view. We do have a lot of legacy stuff in our plants. I think this is a good time for us to make the change and leapfrog. It's really, in my view, I think it's a good time for our industries, for us to leapfrog with the newer technology in our plants as we are replacing our legacy systems and so forth. So obviously, execution, in the end, always comes to execution. Which companies are able to better execute? So execution is going to be very, very important. And that's why I think gatherings, forum like this, is very, very important for us to learn from each other. I think the days of where you want to actually not collaborate even with your industry, I think are gone. We really have to start working as an industry. We have to learn from each other. And that's why, by the way, I think one of the unique things, we have tried to do for many years is we have all the presentations at this forum are from customers. They are just like Don. They are sharing with us their vision, their experience, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to learn from each other. And in my view, because this is such a monumental task, going digital, becoming a digital enterprise, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be a journey going to take many, many years for all of us. So I would say, let's work together and let's go digital. Thank you very much.